Hi, scholars. This is Mrs. Dietzman. I'm here today to model how to ask questions about a story. Before I go into reading the story, I'm going to show you a PowerPoint that better explains what questions you should be asking before you start reading. Okay. Okay. Asking and answering questions. So the big thing is, what is a question? So a question is a type of sentence that ends with a question mark. So why do we ask questions? To get information. So here's our vocabulary for today. Who, what, where, when, all start at the beginning of a question. So who? These are some questions that you can ask that start with who. Who are the characters? Who came to visit? Who do you think will win? What? What is the story about? What was the boy thinking? Where? Where does the story take place? Where is the ball? Where are the apples? Those are all examples of questions that you can ask before you start reading a story. So today we are going to read a story about ladybugs. Now you're probably wondering, what are ladybugs? What do I want to know about them? So before you read a story, you can jot down some questions. So today I am going to be jotting my questions down on a graphic organizer. I'm going to be writing questions before I start reading, during, and I'm going to write my questions to my answers on the bottom. Now I'm going to show you an anchor chart that'll better explain question words. Here is my anchor chart. It says asking questions. Now each question will start with what, when, where, why, who, and how. And notice they all have a question mark. So us as readers ask and answer questions to better understand the text. So now what I want you to do is I want you to think of some questions that you can ask about ladybugs. What do you want to know? What will better explain what a ladybug is? So I'm going to write my questions down on my graphic organizer. Okay, so I had some questions about ladybugs. So the first thing that I did was I put the title of my story at the top, Ladybugs. So I want to know, what do ladybugs eat? Do ladybugs lay eggs? And are ladybugs born with spots? Now, hopefully I'll come across those answers, and at the end of the story, I can write the answers down at the bottom. Now, if I have a question during the story, if something I see gives me something to think about, I'll write it down here in this box. Okay, so Ladybugs, written by Maya Posada. Little round beetles with red coats and black spots crawl through gardens and trees and in flower pots. They are ladybugs. A crawling ladybug tickles your arm, but this little insect will cause you no harm. They are busy searching for food to eat. Tiny green insects called aphids taste sweet. A ladybug may flee in fear from a hungry bird landing near, but eating a ladybug is a waste. To birds, they have a terrible taste. When a female ladybug has eggs to be laid, she finds a safe place on a leaf in the shade. Now, I actually have a question. I'm wondering how long ladybugs stay in their eggs. So I'm going to write that down on my graphic organizer. Okay, so I had a question. How long does it take for ladybugs to hatch? So hopefully I'll come across that answer and I'll be able to write it here on the bottom. Okay, let's continue with our story. So, in 5 days, the yellow eggs will turn white. The hatching day is now within sight. Tiny creatures climb out from the creamy white eggs. They have hairy gray bodies and long skinny legs. They are called larvae. Hungry larvae search for food right away. They can eat 100 aphids a day. A larva's skin cannot stretch, and since this is so, it must shed its old skin in order to grow. Its skin splits apart, the larva wiggles free, its new larger skin fits more comfortably. When a ladybug larva is almost full grown, it attaches itself to a plant or a stone. It molts one last time the skin it outgrew. When it emerges, it has become something new. It is a pupa. The pupa is covered by a tough orange skin. It hides the changes taking place within. Its worm-like body is rounding out. Its coat becomes smooth. Tiny wings sprout. In 5 days, the pupa shell starts to crack. A beetle crawls out with no spots on its back. Soon, black spots come into sight. The yellow coat turns red, fiery and bright. The new ladybug spreads its wings out to dry. A few hours pass, then it is able to fly. Its spotted wings covers move off to the sides. It beats its wings and away it glides. The new ladybugs with red coats and black spots crawl through gardens and trees and on flowers in pots. That is the end of our story. Now I'm going to finish filling out our graphic organizer. So I need to think about, did my book answer these questions? What do ladybugs eat? Do ladybugs lay eggs? Are ladybugs born with spots? And then the one that I had in the middle, how long does it take for ladybugs to hatch? So I'm going to look. What do ladybugs eat? I remember that answer. Let's go back in the book. Right there. Okay. They are busy searching for food to eat. Tiny green insects called aphids taste sweet. So ladybugs eat aphids. I'm going to write that down on my organizer. So I included my answer at the bottom. Now I'm going to look for my next one. So it says, do ladybugs lay eggs? So I'm going to go back in my story and see where it talks about laying eggs. It says, when a female ladybug has eggs to be laid, she finds a safe place on a leaf in the shade. So, yes, ladybugs lay eggs. So I'm going to include that on my organizer. Okay, so I wrote ladybugs lay eggs. So my next question is, are ladybugs born with spots? So let's look back in the book. Okay. All right, so it says, tiny creatures climb out from the creamy white eggs. They have hairy gray bodies and long skinny legs. They are called larvae. So that is a baby ladybug. That is not born with spots. So I'm going to write down no spots. Okay, so on the bottom, I answered my question. Are ladybugs born with spots? And I wrote no spots. So I have one more question that I was asking during this story. How long does it take for ladybugs to hatch? I'm going to go back in my story to find my answer. So over on this side, it talked about the eggs. On this side, it says, in 5 days, the yellow eggs will turn white. The hatching day is now within sight. So it takes about 5 days for them to turn yellow, and then it takes another 5 days for them to start looking more like a ladybug. So I'm going to write down their 5 days in the egg. Okay, so I'm going to look back at my graphic organizer. Let's see if I was able to answer all my questions. It says, what do ladybugs eat? And I said, I found aphids. Do ladybugs lay eggs? Yes, they do, right there. Ladybugs lay eggs. Are ladybugs born with spots? No spots. They're actually born into a larva. And finally, the one that I had in the middle of the story, how long does it take for ladybugs to hatch? 5 days. So I'm hoping that you were able to answer your questions about ladybugs. And I hope that this helps you ask questions about a topic that you might not know before reading. All right, so review. Asking questions. If you're asking a question, they all have to start with what, when, where, who, and how. And remember, readers ask questions to better understand the text. So I hope this video helps. See you soon. Bye.